Hello everyone. In this issue I will outline the purpose, thematics and information structure of the channel according to which the following videos will be designated. If we try to briefly formulate the main issue of practical cost engineering and conducting commercial negotiations, then in my opinion it will sound as follows. How can I increase the degree of manageability by the cost of the product? A separate consideration of the concept of degree of manageability will be given in one of the next lectures of Block 1. Glossary. As a part of the discussion of today's topic, the following notations and abbreviations will be used. Since it's difficult to introduce something new into the interpretation of these terms, I suggest that listeners familiarize themselves with the meaning of these terms in the source available to them before continuing to watch this video. The only thing I would like to note is the ambiguity of the interpretation of the term cost engineering. In patronymic and foreign regulatory documentation, in particular in GOST R 58535, cost engineering terms and definitions, or similar DIN and VDI series standards, as well as in numerous educational and advertising publications. In the framework of further discussion, in most cases we will use two definitions of the concept of cost engineering: applied and organizational. In particular, in the context of applicational use, cost engineering is a special case of functional cost analysis in which the object of analysis is a technically complex object, machine, device, etc. And in the context of organizational use, cost engineering is a complex of analytical design, commercial and managerial work on managing the cost of product. In addition to the main issue of cost engineering, formulated above, here is a number of conditions that usually occur in practice. The first, all calculations, cost breakdowns, provided by the supplier in addition to the commercial offer are fake. Second, I do not have the time and material resources for the full use of product cost management or PCM software. Third, the company has no experience in designing similar products in the past. Or we have the innovative project or product with a high degree of novelty. Fourth, the company has no business processes of interaction of working groups, cost engineer, designer and buyer. Let's go back to the purpose, thematics and information structure marked above. So, the purpose of creating the channel is a theoretical and practical demonstration of the possibilities of cost engineering in the context of using the basic concepts of value analysis, such as function and significance of function, structural and functional models of the object of analysis, and etc. Thematics. As a part of demonstration of cost engineering capabilities, we will consider the next features: analytical support of the product development process, analytical support of making design decisions, the formation of target price of the product, the marketing strategies, the formation of an action plan to reduce the cost of the product production, conducting commercial negotiations with suppliers of product components, and the last, the making management decision. The next, information structure. Demo program consisting of a course of lectures and practical examples to them is presented in the form of 7 blocks. Thus, for the convenience of listeners interested in a certain direction, for example, design engineers, buyers, cost engineers, marketers or project managers, the name of each new video will have a designation indicating its belonging to a certain block. The practical cases considered in this course have specifics related to the machine building industry, since all my practical experience is connected with this industry. In particular, with the aerospace direction in the role of design engineer, and the automotive industry and railway car building in the role of a cost engineer. Nevertheless, the approaches proposed in the cases are to a large extent universal and, in my opinion, can be used by specialists from other industries, taking into account their specifics and the practical experience of these specialists. Block 1. Block 1 includes a brief course of lectures on VA. Why brief? The standards value analysis course includes such sections as value analysis, an integral part of economic analysis, the history of value analysis, the goals and principles of value analysis, types of analyzed costs, margin approach, etc. Cost engineering in this case is one of the sections of the standards value analysis course. Unfortunately, I can't tell you anything new in the field of other sections, except for cost engineering, so I suggest you familiarize yourself with them yourself, since there are lectures on value analysis in open access or in the store. However, I also consider it incorrect to completely ignore the sections described above, since their interpretation of individual basic concepts that will be used in practical cases sometimes differs somewhat from their classical formulation. So, separate excerpts from the basic course of value analysis will be given. Russian School of Value Analysis is based on the course of a greater extent, however, within the framework of its isolated consideration of a basic set of concepts such as function, significance of function, structural and functional model. It can be argued that they are to a large extent universal for both the Russian School of Value Analysis and for foreign schools. The course of lectures, in turn, can be conditionally divided into 3 sections. The first section is devoted to the basic concepts of classical value analysis taught at the university. The second section devoted to the areas of practical application of value analysis. The third section highlights the prospects for the application of value analysis in the context of the current level of development of science and technology. The section, of course, basic concepts of classical value analysis is actually a stripped down standard value analysis course which is taught to the students as part of the university program. The section, of course, areas of application of value analysis contains examples of practical applying of the value analysis in various branches of trade and industry, as well as comments on scientific articles describing the applying options for this type of analysis. The section, of course, the prospect of applying the value analysis, presents a set of theses regarding the most relevant areas of development and scientific areas that can be used within the framework of the value analysis. For example, the theory of artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, the connection of value analysis and the metaverse, etc. In the framework of the theoretical part, we will not consider cost engineering since it's mostly an applied field of activity, the essence of which is manifested in the process of considering practical cases. Without going into course of lectures in depth, I would like to designate the subject and object of cost engineering from a practical point of view. The subject is a cost engineer. An object is a set of reference and analytical documentation, RAD, generated during the product development cycle in addition to a set of design engineering documentation. At first glance, the object should be a product, the cost of which we manage, but the practical activity of a cost engineer consists precisely in the formation of a reference set of documentation, which is a tool for managing the cost of a product. As an analogy, we can give a digital product LED or reference product LED. The reference set of documentation may include various elements, for example, visualization of the basic concepts of value analysis such as structural and functional models, various reports used in the value analysis, etc. In addition, I would like to note that regard to cost engineering, this is an availability of basic standards or regulatory documentation in different countries, as well as integral regulatory documents in individual companies. In the first ones are publicly available, subject to their payment, then access to the internal regulatory documents of developer companies is limited. In the cases under consideration, methods similar to those that are out in publicly available standards will be used. This brief theoretical and practical digression was necessary in order to be formulated in description of the practical blocks B2, then B7 set out below. Block 2. The considered concept of cost engineering, based on the value analysis, assumes the possibility of having three types of cost engineers in its composition. Type 1. Cost engineer designer, i.e. the opinion in which the designer, in addition to the design documentation set, independently forms a set of reference documentation. The obvious disadvantages of this type of cost engineering practice are shortage of qualified personnel with experience of both design and economic calculations. Second, low productivity. Such specialists are suitable for small companies engaged in the design of a small range of products. Type 2 is an internal cost engineer integrated into the design engineering department, i.e. directly involved in all meetings of designers and making design decisions at the lower level, such as a choice of material, the choice of manufacturing technology, the choice of tolerances, and the level of roughness, etc. Type 3 is an external cost engineer integrated into the company's management accounting system, working with reference documentation generated by the first two types of cost engineers. As a rule, the leading companies in the industry have a second and third types of cost engineers. It should be noted that in practice, the organizational structure of cost engineering department is more complex because it includes specialists in border areas, i.e., specialists involved in the cost engineering system but are not cost engineers. In the understanding, we are considering things that do not apply the elements of value analysis. Such specialists in border areas may include specialists in formation of the composition and actual calculation based on ERP system, specialists engaged in updating the optional list of the product and commercial proposals, but who are neither marketers nor buyers. In the classical sense, specialists in the field of big data, etc. The study of the field of activity of specialists in border areas represents blocks of scientific and practical issues that are not included in the field of cost engineering based on their value analysis, and in which, to tell the truth, I'm not very specialist in these areas. Thus, having limited the cost engineering system to the three types of cost engineers described above, we consider a kind of idealized system in which cost engineers of three types can receive any information they need from specialists in border areas. Block B2 includes a set of cases for the first and the second types of cost engineers. The block considers the process of independent work of a cost engineers, the interaction of a cost engineer and a designer, interaction of the cost engineer and design engineer in the process of designing parts and simple assembly units. As well, a set of reference documentation that can be formed a part of activity in addition to the main set of design documentation. Besides, examples include description of preparation, a set of reference documentation for a cost engineer in the context of providing source data for the Type 3 cost engineers. Block 3. Block 3 includes a set of cases within which the activities of Type 3 cost engineer will be presented. In particular, the cases of the tasks of the cost engineer, who is an element of company's management accounting, preparation of reports for management, etc., i.e., being the link between the designer and the company's management in terms of cost of the product will be considered. Block 4. Block 4 includes a set of cases in which the process of supporting commercial negotiations by a cost engineer is considered, such as feasibility study of target prices of the company, types of work, etc. The peculiarity of the subsubstation of these negotiation positions considered in Block 4 in the use of elements of functional and cost analysis that allow for analysis in condition of a shortage of initial data. Simply put, we are considering how to conduct commercial negotiations without having calculations or having fake calculations. My experience of participating in commercial negotiation as a cost engineer shows that in 99% of cases the supplier provides fake calculations. the purpose of which is not to disclose information but to justify its negotiation position in one form or another in order to delay negotiations and force the opposing party to conclude a contract due to the risks of lagging behind project schedule. Block 5. Block 5 includes a set of cases within the framework of which private issues of possibility of using the value analysis in the activities of marketer are considered, such as the formation of an option list, the formation of marketers models, etc. Block 6. In Block 6, cases related to the use of value analysis in the process of supporting management decision making by the company's top management as well as project managers within the framework of management accounting system are considered. Block 7. Block 7 includes consideration of practical cases of integration of business processes with value analysis elements into the company's business process system. Business process integration has several levers, which are described in more detail on the website costengineer.ru. At this point, I propose to consider the review video finished. Questions and preferences regarding to the priority of consideration of certain blocks can be written in the comments. All bye.